Hey everybody, Fortuna here. This is a city symphony. It's called Bezerkley. It's with a musical soundtrack. It's the song Get Free by Major Lazer and Amber from the Dirty Projectors. It's a sick song. Okay, let's begin. So, first of all, Indivisible. We collaborated with people outside of you. So actually, first let's do restore. We use the restore card for this deal, so it's quite a large deal. All these punched out ones are getting restored. It feels smooth. It does very much so throughout. It's almost all in slow motion, very smooth. We collaborated with this deal with students from at least 3 different divisions in SCA within our group. Shared universe. It shares a universe actually with the Derive that we made. It is something completely different. Now, here we go. Alright, so, first things first. It revolves this is fantastic because there's driving, and there's basically all this footage of kind of the mundane, normal stuff in Berkeley. The collapse of civilization at the same time, because Berkeley's a crazy place and there's people all over the place proselytizing the end of the world. A moral dilemma. There's these guys who are going around basically trying to get you to sign up for this or sign up for that. I filmed a few of them with their flyers, like, because of these moral issues. A mad prophet. There's a guy sitting literally on like a soapbox and like telling you that the world is going to end. There's a fall from grace. Because there's a lot of people, homeless people on the streets, even on Telegraph Avenue where I filmed most of the movie, which was sad. Close shave. At one point, there's a lot of crazy drivers there too, and people almost hitting each other, honking, pedestrians almost getting hit. The trickster. There's like this one guy who goes around like doing these funny pranks on people. He like has like he's a homeless guy, and he has a sign that says, when he has a dog, a really cute dog, and he says, "Give me money or we'll eat dog." I really appreciated that. Doppelganger. There's people who kind of like look very similar to other people, but at the same time people look completely different. Berkeley is in and of itself contrast. It's kind of how I would describe it. It's just this big city of contrast. A coup. There's people who want to do a coup over the government because, you know, it's like the liberal city of the country. It's like the liberal heart of the country. It's chronicle because it chronicles all these different characters and sounds and sights within the city symphony. Coins, there's people asking for coins, the beggars asking for coins. There's twists, there's all these different twists and turns within the city as I filmed while driving, so you see like literally the city like in and out. Decoy protagonists, because you think this might be about people because we start filming people, but really the main character of this movie is Berkeley itself. A lost one, those would probably be the homeless people. The last of their kind. They're these people who think who are all over the place, who are like these old hippies, old hippies who still like completely like own the streets. It's crazy, and they're not many of them, but they still are there. Successor. Their successors are sort of the hipsters, and they're everywhere too there. A heartthrob. There was this one guy I filmed who was just kind of like this rapper who was like had this huge like group surrounding him and like just like totally loved what he was. More of like slam poet, but he was really cool. A ghost. There's like all sorts of ghosts and weirds and ghost stories in Berkeley and weird stuff and the graffiti. If you know how to read graffiti, it's really interesting. Like there's some really cool tagging around there. Juvenile delinquent. There's plenty of those there. It's kind of an interesting mix of like granola and ghetto Berkeley. I don't know how to describe it. And there's even parts of it that are like really ritzy too. Like the Berkeley Hills are gorgeous, and I filmed there a little bit too. A detour. We filmed all over the place. We did detours. Band of outsiders. That's kind of what Berkeley is. A hunter. There's this one guy who actually had like a metal like metal armor on. Looked like he'd just come back from hunting. Like it was ridiculous. It wasn't armor. It was chain metal. Or chain. What is it called? Chainmail. Thank you. Yeah, he's hilarious. Movie stars. There's a bunch of pictures of movie stars all over the place because they love to visit Berkeley. Anti-hero is at the same time a hero and an anti-hero of the city. Brotherhood. It's a city of a lot of brotherhood and a lot of poetry. I actually used to go to the Berkeley Slam for years. Filmed along the Shattuck. The grind. There's like just people just doing their ordinary jobs, and actually there's a lot of booths set up along the streets just with people selling stuff, like selling hemp and hats and tie-dye shirts. We already did that one. History. It involves. It's very clearly a historical place. It's like the history of the social what's it called? Social movements and huge like protests back in the 60s, anti-Vietnam. Sneak attack, whoa. Sneak attack, sort of like I just kind of went around with my camera and just would like film people like really sneakily, and like it's kind of like right on them, and sometimes people would look at me and be like, the fuck are you doing? But it was like, I'm glad I did it. An escape, sort of an escape for some people from like the mundane suburbia surrounding it, because it's like everything else is so conservative, and just Berkeley's just this kind of like wild escape. In Another Man's Shoes, I kind of felt like I was in Another Man's Shoes, walking around the city filming people. A Living Toy, there's plenty of those in the sex shops all across Berkeley, which I also filmed. Public performance, there's people performing publicly. It's a messy tangle, the whole city is. Involves betrayal, because there's people who feel betrayed by their government and like are criticizing their government. They have these signs up trying to protest. Hesitance, there's also hesitance because, you know, stoplights, people hesitating to go the next way. A rebel, that's everyone in Berkeley. Insubordination, once again, Berkeley in and of itself. A bicycle, I filmed some people riding on bikes. Really, like, I was worried for them. Service, people fulfilling their services, doing their jobs. A myth, sort of this mythical city everyone knows across America about Berkeley, about like this kind of like this home of the hippies. And enough time has passed that it's sort of taken on that reputation. Car, I filmed within a car and filmed a bunch of cars. Right place, wrong time. I should have gone, I filmed around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is a notoriously bad time to film. I wish I'd gone at a different hour. Love, it's a city full of love and people loving lovey-dovey people. Elusive Quarry, there was this one guy I kept trying to film, but he kept like, I missed him because he would not face me. I wanted to get his face, but he had this really crazy tattoo across his face. I was trying to, I couldn't get him, unfortunately. Mind-altering drugs, that's everybody's on there. Ambition, it's a city of ambition too, because it's people who like want to change the world, and whether or not they see, maybe what they're doing is full of folly, but it is ambitious. The muse, a lot of people inspired by their muses doing their different kinds of arts. A quest, people on quests everywhere to do this or to do that. Social change, said it a million times already now. Rise and fall, you people who are on the rise and you people who are on the fall. You see the people succeeding and you see the people falling. The city is just really black and white. Humans versus machines, you also have the crazies who are going around telling you that the world is going to end and telling you that there's a robo-apocalypse coming. Pride, it's a lot of the people there are all about pride, a lot about image, despite what you might think, you know. It's a very image-oriented place. I grew up there, so I know. Body horror, there's some difficult sights as well there of people, some of the old veterans, some veterans on the streets who are missing limbs and things like that. Ends on a cliffhanger because the movie itself, because like you only see a glimpse of Berkeley really. I wish I could have spent a whole day, like I spent a whole 2 days filming, because there's so much more you can learn about the city and learn about the character. Polar opposites, I've already said it. Partnership, you see partnerships all over the place with different businesses, like the Cheese Board, like this awesome pizza place, and a cheese like created like a cheese company, and they like partner together. Menagerie of people and places. Stranger Comes to Town, that was sort of me because I'm now an LA kid, you know, so I'm going back to my old town, but sort of a stranger to it now. A brain, there's people's craniums all over the place, and actually. And I actually filmed one guy, I just followed this one guy, the back of his head, just followed him as he was walking, and I was hoping he wouldn't notice. He didn't, luckily. False assumption. People falsely assume that Berkeley is that everyone in Berkeley is smug, but some people are just really down to earth. Some are not. Dread. There's a lot of people full of dread. The ones that are saying the end of the world is coming. And they also talk. There's a lot of brainwashing there too. Lots of liberal brainwashing. Lost innocence. I'd say Berkeley's where I lost my innocence. It's where I first discovered drugs, where I first discovered sex, discovered everything that's, you know, awesome about the world.
Drugs and sex, basically.
Yeah. The nuclear war. Again, I told you about the people who think the end of the world is coming. Doomed love. A lot of people who, with these love for these causes, these causes are not going anywhere. Signs. I filmed actually a couple signs for different cool places, like one of my favorite, Big Al's, this really cool smoke shop. I'm getting a phone call, but I guess I'll just answer it later. An affair. This is taking so long. Okay.
You need some water?
I know, right? And a fair, so I saw a couple walking down the street, really weird looking couple, like an old, big, fat Mexican guy and this like really small, skinny white girl, and they were clearly having an affair. Conspiracy. Everyone there is a conspiracy theorist. Reversals. There's all sorts of people with role reversals that you might think be doing this thing, but are doing another. Harbinger of Doom. I've already described a bunch of those kind of guys. Moral anxiety. There's a bunch of people who like have this feeling of moral anxiety and proselytize it. Airplane. There's also this cool like aeronautical museum in Berkeley. I didn't get to go film there, but I did get a glimpse of its window, of like the window to it. The window. Silhouette. There are a bunch of silhouettes in the film. A puzzle. Berkeley's sort of a puzzle. It's like you can't really solve it. It's just kind of there. Footsteps. I filmed people walking. I myself was walking as I filmed. A chase. I was just kind of chasing one person around to the next. Improvisation. It was totally improv. The whole thing. I was just improvising as I went along, trying to find people and places and things that looked interesting that kind of really made the city feel like Berkeley, you know. Something handmade. It's what everyone's selling there is handmade stuff, like handmade goods. The shirts are the hemp. It's all handmade. Also the jewelry. A compass. There's also like this one guy who was selling all this like weird random stuff and like thrift store sort of stuff, and he had a compass. Psychological torment. That's kind of what a lot of the people are going through, especially the ones that are telling you that the world's going to end. Community. It's at the end of the day, it is a community. It's a crazy place, but it's a community. Anthropomorphism. There was some hats I saw that were like made to look like animals, like that. So they're like taking on a human shape. A healer. There was also the healing places. There's lots of what's that called? The needles. Acupuncture. There's a lot of those kind of places along Telegraph and Shattuck. An affair, already mentioned. The game plays you. The place is just kind of like, it's just kind of like this metacognitive mind fuck. Like everything there, like you think you know it, but it's actually you don't even get close. Father figure. I saw a bunch of dads and kids wearing blue and yellow. You know, Cal colors. Crooked cop. Cops in Berkeley are notorious for being crooked and for being assholes. Nobody really likes them very much. A person in costume. There's a bunch of those there, like the guy in the chainmail. Rejection. There's also most people just ignore the people with the signs and the beggars. They just reject them straight up. Absurdity ascendant. The place is just absurd, really. Visual metaphor. I tried with the way I film things to kind of make these visual metaphors to represent Berkeley. Like when I tried to film little pieces that together made Berkeley in of itself. An unwitting pawn. Most of those people that I filmed, they didn't even know they were being filmed. So technically, the film's like kind of like, you know, didn't get their permission or anything. But who cares? That makes it all the more Berkeley. Partnership. I already mentioned. Split personality. That's Berkeley itself. On one hand, it's this beautiful, lovely, gorgeous, natural place. On the other hand, it's nasty, and and there's this nasty side to it, this like grungy side. Emotional disconnect. Some of the people definitely feel that because they're so far away from all the conflicts in the world. Search for freedom. It's kind of like you can get lost in Berkeley pretty easy, especially if you're up in the hills. It took me forever to get out. Even though I lived in Berkeley, I've gotten lost in the hills a bunch of times. No place like home. It is, after all, my home, so in some ways I was going back. Guerrilla art. There's a bunch of graffiti and guerrilla art all over the place in Berkeley, and I tried to film as much of it as I could. Kendra Brandonini was involved in this because she actually gave me the song to use for the movie. She suggested it. It's a good choice. A mole. On the people's face, there's a mole. Magical protection. Half the people there think they probably have it. Robots. There's cameras all over the place and all sorts of other robotic devices. God for a Day. I kind of felt filming around that I was God for a Day, just kind of capturing the city. A treasure. Berkeley really is a treasure, and it's full of them. A successor. Berkeley is kind of like the successor to like the utopian idea. So in some ways, it's kind of like the closest it comes to people trying to live in like that granola sort of way. The news. It's a news-centric city. Everything there has to do with what's going on. And finally, the Phoenix, which is Berkeley, because it actually was burned down once back in the 1990s, I want to say. The Berkeley Hills were burned down, but they've grown back up, and I went and filmed up there where I filmed at Grizzly Peak. Now it's beautiful, all the trees have grown back, and so in some ways it's a literal phoenix. And that is it!